Shalom Barak. Our Father's peace to everyone who catches this message. It's time for a party. What are we going to call this party? We'll get to that. We meet up daily, 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, to discuss entrepreneurship and service in your community. We have 10 different special interest groups that we speak on, and today's special interest group is Teachers of Tanzania. As a subtopic, we also speak on the perception or the prism that one would use considering organic marketing strategies for each of those special interest groups. For Teachers of Tanzania, we want to think about artisanship and crafting, things that you do by trade from your own natural talents. It's something that I push a lot because no matter what type of entrepreneurial pursuit you take, it all will boil down to what can you fashion with your own hands. Generating ideas doesn't necessarily make you an entrepreneur. You could be a person who heads think tanks for other people. And in that case, you would be a consultant. So yeah, you could be a person who generates ideas that way. However, what we're looking at is generating an idea of something that you can start producing yourself. Imagine if you were the actual ATM. It doesn't mean that you're printing out money. It means that you're printing out a valuable good or service that other people would be willing to exchange currency or something of suitable equivalence. So I'm going to crank up some music. I'm going to let some music play for a little while, let some familiar faces come in, and then we'll get this party started. And what are we going to call it? There was a lyric that I put in a song, The Mountaintop. They say that Yahweh Elohim even has a favorite lily. So I was writing a song to my love. I said, if there's a lily in the valley, you're the mountaintop. We got 2 in the YouTube room. Shalom Barak to you. We're having a party. It is time for a party. And today's party will be called The Mountaintop. We're going to be considering different forms of artisanship. Pardon me, I'm going to be pacing around for a second because I need to get some water. Always in the need of water. So yeah, today's special interest group is Teachers of Tanzania. We're going to be thinking about artisanship. And of course, focus is always entrepreneurship and service in your community. So I'm going to turn on some music. We'll give it a little bit of time and then we'll get started. The selection is called Yahweh You Reign from Coal Before Diamonds Productions. Shalom, Jamie Covert. Shalom, Barak. Peace and blessings. Thank you for subbing. Just to give you some backstory, Cole Before Diamonds is a brother of mine. We're in partnership. He actually handed over 8 songs to me and said, "Here, let's turn this into an album called For Yahweh." That was one of the tracks from that album. That one was called Yahweh You Reign. This next one I'm about to play is called Psalms 1. I forgot something. All right, all right. Just one more song I want to share with you all before we really get started. Looked up a minute ago and I noticed my phone had gotten down to 1% on the battery. That's not good. So I had to switch over to my charger and had to make sure there was at least some kind of juice on it. Looks like eventually I'm going to sit down in my room and let it charge. But there's a few things I want to do before we get planted in one spot. Oh, Funny thing about it all is when the screen changes up and I can't see. It takes forever for it to actually. That's why there's lapses sometimes when I'm talking, because I can't tell if it's actually broadcasting or not. All right. Well, one dilemma has been solved. We have plenty of water today. There is one more song that I want to play. I don't know if I will get it started though, because I don't like how we're starting off this broadcast with the screen thing around. Let's see, what does this say in the comment section? Hmm. You ever seen those stylus pens? Thank you, Jamie. Jamie or Jaime. Jamie, I'll say. Thank you for the compliment. Yeah, that's my brother. He makes some great tunes. If you're still around, I'm about to play one of my songs, and then we'll get started on what the actual message is for the broadcast. And I appreciate your feedback. Thank you. If you're puzzling on why I'm wrestling with technology, it's because two separate devices on both TikTok and YouTube simultaneously. And my tablet gave out. So I had to find a program where I could still do multi-channel broadcasting. And I found one called Restream. And really, I'm just working out the bugs and all that kind of thing while still holding down a broadcast. So, all right, this is called Destiny and Journey. Back in the year 2000, I was listening to a Jimi Hendrix song called Voodoo Child. And four verses stuck out in my mind while listening to it. And I decided to write them out and record it. Now, what you're about to hear is what I've done in the years past. I took some of the elements from the Jimi Hendrix song, mixed it in with some Outkast, and so enjoy. World Wide Web. 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 Well, I'm standing on the corner of Destiny and Journey, learning legalese so I won't need attorneys. Things are getting way too shy, it's down in dirty south. No innovations coming out of players' mouths. Trying to head for the water, take my crew on an Iliad. Reach out and touch the world, exposing 10% affiliates. But now I'm sure you guess, we live in continental US. And we won't stop until we go off the spot in Bangladesh. It's a mystery how such a small crowd controls the currency, while the rest of us are rats running on wheels in laboratories. False freedom, society
reality is only a maze for chasing cheese. The world spins 360 degrees, and so can you. Pick up the game from Parker Brothers and you'll get a clue. Wait a minute, let's take it back stateside. Pangea is the web of our thoughts worldwide. Wait a minute, let's take it back stateside. Pangea is the web of our thoughts worldwide. Worldwide, worldwide, worldwide. Trapped in Groundhog's Day, why repeat yourself? Playing virtual reality, pretending you an elf. If it wasn't for my ijtihad, I'd be a thief or assassin. Quiet panther, stalking while you're raising rockers blasting. Seems the only sound investment these days is black jackets and caskets. I got a subterranean locomotive headed straight for Canada. Need some Medicaid, socialism's the only answer. Mosey on down to the shores of the Caribbean. Start speaking in tongues, make them think I'm Bolivian. Organized Aztec protests at the doors of MOPEC. Cause there's some villains making trillions, taking till nothing is left. Move on to the jungles, strap myself to some trees, save the rainforest so our planet can breathe. Or would you rather die because it killed and cure to your simple disease? Steady propagating social crime called greed. Corporations stealing land from aborigines with no treaties. Wait a minute, let's take it back stateside. Pangea is the web of our thoughts worldwide. What about the Monroe Doctrine? Rip it up, burn it, and cast it to the four winds. Enemies trade secrets for lies told on friends. So let's take it across the ocean to the land of my hide. The core of my body shakes like ropes in a royal rumble. Native tribes commit genocide. Chicken alien beat of humble mumble. Apartheid hasn't died, it's just no longer covered. The smell of death is in the air, sky overcast. The baby boom of the buzzard. Why is it the empires must colonize everything they discovered? Put a brick wall between you and the land you call mother. Hypothetically, you can't discover what's already there. So who are you to tell me how to walk, talk, and wear my hair? And what's up with this free zone? No flying over holy land, fighting over oil and sand. From the streets of Turkey and Israel to the dunes of Iran and Afghanistan. All of your holy books told you how to survive in this place. The last time I checked, we were all humans in the same race, supposedly cognitive. So tell me, what the hell are you doing? Civilization and things falling apart, we're marching off to ruin. Let's take it back stateside. Pangea is the web of all thoughts worldwide. Worldwide. The past has been preserved for us to learn from mistakes, like re-engineering buildings on the sites of earthquakes. Strap two life preservers on to your feet. Take a stroll on the beach on the search for some eats. It takes a while to find something in the prairie. Go to Mesopotamia and find the Bavarians. Maybe go to Europe, smoke some hash and walk through tulips. Take a tour through the Caucasus Mountains and blow some knowledge on your ass from the peaks of Shiraz, but we're not through. The Filipinos, Indians, and Chinese have been patiently waiting like the Haitians, staging demonstrations, meeting you free, and you be you. Leave me alone to do what I must do. I believe in the eightfold path that must be right. Because you find it inserted in every world religion in sight. Not only that, but let's take it to the Swiss Alps. The population is in order with no split the scalps. So what's up, Mr. President? I don't mean to rush you. But can you tell me what you plan to do about Poland and Russia? Hey, wait a minute. Let's take it back stateside. Pangea is the web of all thoughts worldwide.
Shalom Aparak to everyone. Shalom Aparak. Decided I'd step outside for a minute today. Enjoy some of the green. Welcome in spring. I'm especially digging this little plant over here. Today, we're supposed to be talking about teachers of Tanzania and perspectives of organic marketing strategies concerning artisanship. What does that mean to be an artisan? I've shared a story with you all before about the fact that I went to college seeking to take classes on how to be an entrepreneur. There are no classes on how to be an entrepreneur. Found that out 3 years later. 2 years in, I earned an associate's degree in business administration. But I couldn't tell you anything about being an entrepreneur. Then I started up working on being a bachelor in business administration and still wouldn't have been able to tell you about being an entrepreneur. Because a lot of what goes on behind being an entrepreneur is not cookie cutter class. It's not a how to about it because there are so many different ways and forms of offering a service or a product. There are so many different services, so many different products, and they are not to be offered the same way. They're not to be promoted the same way, advertised, marketed the same way. Some things are of necessity. And even then, it's not just, oh, I have a product, and if I put it on the shelf, people will get it. You still have to tell the world that it exists. What about in places where no one knows the location exists? No one knows the place exists, let alone the product. Well, you see, that's what I wake up scratching my head on every day. That's my dilemma. I think I mentioned it before. The unsung heroes, the ones that nobody knows about, but they give it their all every day. And there's some people out there who they've helped, and those people know about them. Those people will tell everybody, will tell the world. But that's few and far in between. There's people that fashion clothes and design furniture and help build homes, pave and clear roads, paths, dig, plow, and cultivate gardens. Clear out and procure irrigation sites. I keep meaning to sit down and rifle through the Bible and find the exact verses in the chapter in the book where it describes the 12 branches, each of their names, and what it is that they do. Because each of them actually had duties. We know about the Levites because they were the priests, but there's 11 others. And everybody had a duty, and once everyone was together, it was enough to form the infrastructure of a society. We spoke a couple of days ago about the concentric circles and the circles of influence. I'm real big on that. So I am lacking because I do need to go back and do the research on that and find out exactly what the 12 names were and what the 12 duties were. I think that's very important because we need to cover all aspects of infrastructure. So that brings us back to artisanship. A person who is an electrician is an artisan. A person who does bricklaying, a person who does painting, a person who prepares meals, a nutritionist. It's an artisan. There was a time before we went to convenience stores where we would consult with artisans to get the things that we need in life. It's rare to find an artisan. It's rare to find someone who says they are an apprentice. However, these are things that used to be part of a daily life routine. You would go to the apprentice because it might be cheaper fare. However, at the same time, you know that the skills are not going to be the same. You would rather have the master or the teacher. However, if the teacher isn't there and you need it as an emergency, you can trust the apprentice to handle the skill. Now we have warranties. Go buy it off of the shelf and you've got a 90-day warranty in case something goes wrong. And keep your receipt. Because you may or may not have had dinner with the person who fashioned the product that you are having issues with a couple of weeks ago. So that person may not necessarily want to honor your tool not working correctly because they don't know you. All that to say, when we were trading with artisans, there was a more personable relationship. People stood behind their work. The quality was better. Craftsmanship was better, which meant the products actually lasted longer. And you didn't have to worry about a 90-day warranty. It's more like 9 years. That could be clothing, tools, or whatever the case may be. Not something that we can say the same today. I remember being a child and hearing my elders say how things didn't have the same quality even then. And now I look around and I can say the same compared to even what I've experienced. I know the brand Tonka, and I know that Tonka is not the same as what Tonka was in the 70s, as a for instance. While I was inside, I did turn on YouTube and I put it on some videos talking about the artisans that are in Tanzania. And it showed some open markets and things like that. And the thing is, wire, I don't know if you can see it. It's like brushing across the top of my head. It's a cable wire. But yeah, Khaled, it's great to see you. Not quite rambling back and forth, but I am mentioning you here and there. It's great to see you. Very, very, very Tabata to see you. What I was getting at is I queued up a few different videos about artisans in Tanzania, and it showed some marketplaces. The thing is, I've actually been to a large marketplace in Atlanta when I was visiting with my aunt. It was the size of 5 drive-in theaters combined, because that's really what the space was for. Throughout the week, it would be a drive-in theater, and then on the weekends, there would be different merchants who would get together and set up their awnings, and everyone would break out their tables and sell stuff, right? So I guess it was last spring I came with the idea, what if we had 1,000 things market? What if we actually sold 1,000 different things? And that also reminds me, that's the other reason why I was ecstatic about seeing you, because you've mentioned a little bit back and forth about the different duties of those in the branches of Yasharael. I want to know. I want to know because I want to have some kind of blueprint for us to start building off of. There are a few of the different things that, yes, I know we're covering as far as food and clothing and stuff like that's concerned, but there's a lot more to build the infrastructure of a community. So when I went to visit the giant marketplace, I noticed that there were basically 5 different things that were being sold at the different tables. There were at least 200 merchants out there, but there were only 5 different things being sold. Some of them had power tools, some of them had clothes, some of them had shoes, some of them had herbal supplements, but it was very limited for all of the space that was taken up and for all the people that were there. And as a matter of fact, all the prices were about the same too. So it wasn't much choices. And we all know that there's a lot of different things out there that can be sold. And that brings me back to artisans once again. For all of the different things that we need, for everything that is on an aisle at Walmart, we also have the capabilities of making those by hand. And I don't mean taking a whole month to build a dresser, because you could have a team that builds furniture. You could have a team that puts together clothes. You could have a team that puts together houses and gardens and all of that. The idea is that we work together. Khaled, I give you a salute each and every time I hear it come out of your mouth. We need to stand up. We need to put things together. We need to show for it. I've been doing a few episodes, and here recently I've been mentioning the copyrights that I had placed. You know, one of the hashtags that you use is vision, purpose, and value. So I did put a copyright on that, gave you credit for it. And then the other one, um, Yahshua the Messiah's Student's Black Book. Both of them were done way back, and we've some since changed some of the wording on what we call titles. And the thing about a copyright is, not only do you have the liberty of being able to go back and change the names and wording, you can also set it to where anything that is associated. So Yashua, Yahshua, Yashavai, and all of them can be still assimilated as one. These thoughts are weighing heavy on my mind because, once again, that's the whole reason why I'm even doing these lives. Came up with the 10 different special interest groups because I don't want to be in front of everybody talking about I, me. First few times I was listening to Khaled Kofi, he kept saying something that was very important, that's interdependent. So I've taken the concept of 10 different companies and I'm showing how they are interdependent of each other. Because the other idea behind an interdependent relationship is a trust. There's the trust that most people know, and then there's the financial trust. So if you've got 10 different companies that are willing to come together for one main idea and one focus, they can build trust. Trust is written out the same way any other business proposal would be written out, except for in this one, it would be saving finances or dispersing finances for emergency funds and things like that. One artisan may run into trouble and need protection. Several artisans working together can stop the trouble from even surfacing, because then you have formed a community network instead of one person standing alone as an island. I figured that one out watching people stand on the corner trying to sell tapes, or riding on the bus trying to sell oranges. Yeah, respect the hustle, because yeah, they're out there trying to make a dollar and they're trying to make their ends meet and all of that. But if you have a team, things can be assembled in a more efficient manner. Because yeah, person bought a bag of oranges for $5 and there's 20 oranges in there, and you can sell them each for about $2 and wind up with $40 at the end of the day. Zalin, shalom barak to you. Peace and blessings. What am I doing? We get together daily, 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, except for on Shabbat. And we speak about entrepreneurship and service in our communities. We have 10 special interest groups. The one we're speaking on today is Teachers of Tanzania. In each of the special interest groups, we discuss what would be the perception of organic marketing strategies. So in this instance, Teachers of Tanzania are more focused on artisanship, meaning what can you craft with your hands and then exchange as a service or a product. If you do any research on Tanzania, you'll find out that they're very big on entrepreneurship, because it means self-accountability. And not only self-accountability, it also means nation growth. Now, that's right up my alley. So that's what I'm doing. I'm talking about things that they do in Tanzania. Now, that's not my only focus. I was speaking earlier about Michael Khaled. That would be the leader of the assembly that I attend on a pretty much daily basis as well. And he happens to teach the culture of Paleo Hebrew. I like listening to him because I learn things, and he also reminds me of certain things that I've studied already. My own background happens to be Islam, and there's also a lot of finance involved with not just Islam, but also with Paleo Hebrew. I like the fact that we can reach back on our cultures instead of dealing with the things that happen in modern times, where people have forgotten ethics and never how to incorporate ethics into business. So I get together with everyone for about 2 hours every day to remind everyone that there's more to business than crunching numbers. The majority of business is ethics, because you have a person to person relationship. I hope that answers your question. Now, may I ask, if you're still around, do you happen to have a business or a pursuit that you are doing? And do you have any plans or strategies of how you are implementing your own? We'd like to know about your progress. My interests have been piqued for a very long time about the region that they call Africa. Shalom Akati Deborah. Today we're discussing Teachers of Tanzania. When I was really little, I used to watch a show called Wild Kingdom, where they showed animals, and every now and then they showed the people who lived in certain regions. It was all exotic to me. And I decided as a youth, I wanted to go and visit some of those places. I wanted to go see what they were like. And I would get more information than what I saw on Wild Kingdom, because I would actually look them up. I would read information about them, what the land was like, what food was grown there, what the people were like, what language they spoke. And the most wonderful thing about people and lands is when you find that certain people in nearby lands speak the same language, dress the same. And even though it's different nations, the land is the same, because land didn't come up with some invisible lines for territory. So you got some of the same people doing the same thing, speaking the same way in the same land. I want to go there and see what it's like. And they have different ways of life. They have different things that they make, different things that they eat. I want to go there and see that. Oh, but they're not doing as well as we are here. You're so fortunate to live here. Well, I want to go there and see why they don't have what I have. Because to be quite honest with you, I don't have what my neighbor has. Don't necessarily want it, but I know that I don't have what my neighbor has. So I want to go find out why they don't have what you think I have, even though I don't have it. I want to travel. Did a lot of moving around when I was a child. One of my friends, his mother told me that my family needed to put wheels on our house because we moved so much. I thought it was the funniest thing in the world. We did a lot of traveling, but as far as becoming an artisan, I didn't pick up a trade that I could claim until I was maybe 20, 22. As far as the workforce is concerned, there were a lot of things that I could do, but it was basically things that any dock worker could do. I could load boxes onto a trailer or onto a truck and make sure that the heavier ones were on the bottom and it wouldn't topple over. I could take the measurements of the weight and put it on the manifest. I could type up a bill of a manifest. I could exchange the uh, point of extraction. It was time for them to settle up because we came and picked up some medical waste and removed it from the location. Type up the manifest for that, type up the bill, exchange the money, give a receipt, move on to the next one. I could do all of that, 16, 17 years old. But no, that wasn't a recognized trade, even though I was doing what an entrepreneur would do. And the same thing translated when I went to college. I found out for all the skills and things that I had, it didn't amount to much because none of those were underneath management, wasn't underneath recognized management of a corporate entity that had a management team with said structure. There's a guy named Sam Walton that came up with Walmart stores. Now, when he opened up the first Walmart, he was an entrepreneur. Now, after that, he wasn't an entrepreneur anymore. It became something bigger. He pretty much was always an entrepreneur, but once he brought in the family and everything else and they expanded, he was still an entrepreneur, but everybody else wasn't. It had become a corporate enterprise. Now we know there's a big difference between the person who has a booth on the side of the road and they're selling lemonade compared to the gigantic structure that sends trucks out on a daily basis with bottles and cartons of lemonade and orange juice. Growing up in the 80s, I was told everybody in Africa was starving, malnourished, amidst nothing but famine. Everybody drank from dirty water. Nobody had clothes. This is what they told us. Now, I knew better because, yeah, I was doing research. And I'm seeing these opulent cities where Las Vegas, Nevada was so brilliantly lit up. There were these cities and these other places where they outshined New York City. They were more sprawled out than Los Angeles. They were more rich than all of the oil tycoons in Dallas and Houston. And they were not on American soil. There were these people who could speak English better than some of the people who were standing around me could speak English, even though their accent was different. Explaining concepts and theories that people around me were still scratching their heads trying to figure out how to get to the concept or the theory, let alone how to explain it and expound on it. That's what I grew up seeing compared to what they were telling me. So, what am I doing? I'm out here doing counteraction for all the falsities that I've been fed. And I know if I've been fed it, then the people around me have been fed those same false statements, false theories. I'm countering them. For every time someone told you that a certain group of people think this way, well, I went and I looked. Come to find out, no. That's been my life pursuit. When I was young, they put me in GT class, gifted and talented. That later became the Quest group, Quest for Knowledge. I'm always looking for information. When you come and you tell me something, I'm going to still look it up because I want to know where it came from. Oh, this is how it's going to be now. Oh, yeah? What's your source? I want to know how it was before you came with that. I want to know which one's better. Which one's going to be more efficient? Which one is going to actually help us grow and improve? Because that's the one I want to be on. Now, just because you say it's new and just because you said so doesn't mean that I'm going to actually follow suit. It goes with all areas in life with me. That's the neighbor calling the kittens. So yeah, it's one of the main reasons that I decided I need to put some attention on teachers of Tanzania. One, the love of my life. She's a teacher in Tanzania. And I wanted to keep an idea of what goes on in her life. What's it like for her on a day-to-day basis? She's a teacher, so what's it like for the students? What's it like for the other teachers? What's it like for life in Tanzania? And how does one become an artisan? What do you do? And while I'm checking all that out and reading up on it, how can I apply that to where I live? What's the culture like over there, and how does that apply to what I have going on? Well, my lady likes the fact that I'm involved with a group that's centered on Paleo Hebrew thought. She likes what I've studied as far as being a Muslim because she understands how those standards coincide. She understands the value of education as far as that's concerned. Self self accountability, community growth, and everything else. Recently, Burkina Faso has gotten into my sites, and there's an organization. It's not ECOWAS. I'll have to look it up. There's a commerce organization for Central African nations, and I want to find out which nations are involved and what all they actually do have lined up for trade, produce, and services. And I want to compare that to what's going on in the Western Hemisphere and what people are doing with their trades and their services and their products. We're looking at some nations who are saying no to colonial rule and establishing their networks. And so my question is always the same. What's your excuse? What's our excuse? They're on nation building. What's stopping us? If we declare our missions and we register our content, our intellectual property, we stand by it and we stay active with it, then it is applied knowledge is power. You have power when you apply yourself. If I ask you what your goals are and then you tell me my goals are when I get to work, I do so and so and so and so because they're telling me what my tasks are, it tells me you're out the game already. I say that from a place where I'm not the most comfortable. My life isn't opulent right now. But then what are the terms to opulence? There are a lot of stresses that I don't have. However, there are stresses that I do have. Most of those stresses are due to being in a land of captivity. I couldn't tell you what my life would be like in any other circumstance because this is the circumstances I grew up in. So I couldn't tell you what my plight would be like elsewhere. I can only imagine. And then I can just look across the ocean and see what other people are going through. In one place it's called colonialism, and another place it's called citizenship. This is another one of those days where I don't know how long I'm really going to talk. Wasn't quite that fired up when I woke up today. Didn't quite have something that inspired me to talk for 2 hours because it's the same fight that I've been on for 40 odd years. So no, I can't just jump up and down for 2 hours and tell you how we need to join up because there's a battle going on. I can only stop by long enough to tell you, hey, there's a battle going on. And if you happen to know what your skills are, you need to claim them, register them, and start distributing them. Because, yeah, this is deeper than just people who make music. Distribute your product, distribute your service. Open up a main line so that other people can contact you, whether it's for as a consumer or as a person that wants to learn your trade. No one knows you exist until you put yourself out there. I can be a promoter all day, but what good is that if there's no one telling me I need to promote them? Who remembers going to the park on Saturday and Sunday and just riding around, listening to music, listening to the music in your vehicle, listening to the music from other people who are parked at the park, enjoying themselves? Who remembers going to farmers markets? Who remembers the shock of going to places like Kmart and Walmart because you'd been so used to going to other people's places that were little small boutiques? The shock of walking into one big gigantic store that was like a warehouse with everything in it. Who remembers that shock? Who remembers the shock of going into an actual mall that's the size of 2 or 3 football fields and all the stores are inside? Who remembers the shock of walking into something like that? Today, you can order something, get it shipped across the ocean, and have it within 12 days. If you bought it at the store locally, it would cost you $100. If you get it ordered from across the ocean, it'll cost you 20. But then there's quality. And either one of the items, whether you bought it off of the shelf at the store or if you buy the one that got shipped across the ocean, both of them will probably expire after that 90-day warranty. Keep all that in mind because an artisan develops quality products that last. An artisan develops quality relationships that last. So, yeah, I've got some homework to do. Next time I speak with you all, inshallah, Lord willing, Adon willing, I'll have that list of the different duties of the branches. Also, I'll have that list of those countries that have set up a commercial relationship. Put that on my to-do list. We'll meet up again tomorrow, 4 p.m. I'm going to always say to 6 p.m. You were on the right path, sister. You were on the right path. I didn't really have a thing for the flea markets because I've always been one of those. If I know what I want, then I'm just going out to go buy what it is I want, and then I'm gone. I'm done. So it wasn't so much about walking around and seeing all of the different, all of the different wares. If I knew where something was, I wanted to go get it and be done with it. But I wasn't one that liked the malls when I was little, and then it became the place to go hang out when I was a teenager, when I was able to drive. And even then, I went there to get things that I wanted to buy. I didn't want to go there and stand around and hang out and look at other people looking at each other. You know, we went to go to the arcade, but that was it. Because I'm not an inside kind of person. I've spent more time inside in the last 3 or 4 years of my life than I have most of my life. And it's because of the change up on what I'm doing for concentration. You know, I stay inside because I'm constantly at the screen. So having moments like this when I'm outside in the sun, it's wonderful. Or taking the walks up to we go to the coffee shop. You know, go up to Dunkin's, get some coffee, and walk through all the hills you can find. But yeah, it used to be you wouldn't catch me inside unless it was nighttime and I needed to go to sleep. I was always outside. I would lean towards flea markets and farmers markets because they're an outside source. You know, they do have the flea markets now that are inside that have taken over some of the smaller box stores. The smaller box stores sold out in flea markets, bought up their spaces. But yeah, just the idea of going to different towns and cities and seeing the same name on the front of a building, knowing that when you go inside, it's going to be the same setup and same stuff. So yeah, I'm really thinking and turning it over in my mind. We've made it to the hour mark and we've chewed over a few things. Not gonna fill up the time with a bunch of music or empty videos. That's why I didn't play the stuff off of YouTube. I saw what they were about to do. You know, I didn't want to do a short documentary about some people setting up shop, selling clothes and things like that, because it goes deeper than that. I know that there are some people who have set up major companies and industries over in Tanzania, and likewise here. The thing is, we're not hearing about it, and we should. You were an inside child. I was always outside, always outside. It feels like that. I think that's part of what's going on. Low energy. There's a front that came in. I think this is the third day of it. It's supposed to be one more day. It dropped the temperatures and everything's overcast, you know. So no, I'm not really bubbling over with energy today. Even with the little side project that I got going on in the background right now with the elephant in the room, um, I'm going to stay on Burkina Faso because, as a matter of fact, that's the video I'm about to release right now, uh, showing a child digging in a dirt pit, searching for minerals and precious metals, and then an elephant in a mine, uh, some armed men in a face-off, and then it goes on to a elephant looking over the shoulder of a French aristocrat. So yeah, the saga continues. It is. It's a little chilly where I'm at too, and that's what they were giving the forewarning. Well, today is Monday, so I guess it was Friday night, Thursday. Really, they were saying we're gonna have 4 days where it's gonna get colder. I was telling Ben, and Ben's like, man, we're in the middle of spring. It's supposed to be getting warmer. Yeah, such is life. Doesn't really work like the calendars that they hung up on the walls in school. It doesn't quite work that way. It's not cold and then progressively warmer as it's rainy and windy. No, the temperatures change all the time. Well, I'm not trying to throw out a bunch of dead space, though. You all remind me that I am not PC. I don't know if I'm ever going to watch my words. I don't. I've been accustomed to speaking a certain way, so I'm just going to always speak that way. If anybody ever watched the Muppets, there were two little old men sitting up in the balcony, curmudgeons. I'm like those old men. I'm not going to change just because they tell me, well, you can't say certain words. Look here, I was born before 1984, and I'm going to be here after 1984. Great book, but I got a nap. Contemplating a nap. I like how you think. I might do the same. Maybe that's what it is. I'm just grouchy because I need a nap. Right. No, I'm always grouchy. I wake up angry. My uncle asked me why I'm always so mad. And I looked at him. Y'all remember Arnold from Different Strokes. I gave him that what you talking about, Willis look. Like, you really asking me why I wake up angry. Son of a sharecropper. Son who's actually been out sharecropping. Son who's been out sharecropping who looks at me and says, nephew, you don't know what it's like. And you wonder why I wake up angry. What you talking about, Willis? So I tell you what, every day when we meet up, I'm gonna always ask, what's your mission? I'm gonna always ask, how far along have you gotten on your mission? I'm gonna always ask, do you have a progress report? I'm gonna always ask, have you partnered up with anybody? Have you learned anything? Have you done anything? And if not, what's stopping you? Always, always, always. If no one has told you today, I love you. Many much respect, love to each and every one of you. Father's peace to you, your families, and your circles. Shalom Barak, peace and blessings. Assalamu alaikum. Yahava Ahava, Ahava Ahava. Yahava is love, love is love. That makes ultimate compassion. Ame Tava, Ame Tofo. Until next time. Muppets for sure.